Hi guys, Joel from Jonesy's, and today we're going to put the finishing touches on the diesel Suburban Shrapnel project. The owner's flying in and I'm going to pick him up from the airport, so I thought it would be a good time to give you guys a test drive and to go over all of the installation details of this build. Here we're going to go over the details of the modifications done to the front core support. So as you can see, we've got an aftermarket intercooler mounted, and this is the original GM AC condenser, and we just built some very simple tabs to bolt that together and tack welded it to the core support. We clearanced the core support kind of in around here just to make AC lines a little bit easier to get installed and to get hooked up. And then the biggest modification is the hood latch support. So we cut the hood latch support, cut it off right there, as you can see, and then built a bunch of reinforcements to tie into the bar and plate intercooler itself, and then added some gussets so that the hood latch and striker will be in the factory position. So you guys can tell we've cut quite a bit. Had to modify quite a bit to make everything work. All of our spacing is based off of as tight as we can with obviously cardboard clearance. And then up here you can see the modification we did to this is still loose, that's why the hole doesn't line up, but you can see the modification we did to the holes for the radiator mount. As for the intercooler piping, here's where things start to get a little interesting. So on the passenger side, you can see we have to come off of the intercooler, and then we're going to go straight through there into the inner fender and out of the inner fender and kind of snake around and then go right directly into our turbo outlet. So that piece that you see right there is actually an adapter hose that goes from the 2.5-inch outlet to the 3-inch intercooler pipe. So it's just a V-band clamp right there, and then we've got the adapter hose. So I got that all installed, and I got the turbo clocked. If you guys check out some of my other videos to show you how to clock the turbo. So the pipe will come out of there, kind of snake around, and then come through here, and then take a 90 and go right in there, and you fast forward, and this is the pipe, what you get if you do it like that. And so I tried to keep these hole clearances, the holes we had to cut, as small as possible, just large enough so that you can snake the pipe through. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down, snake the pipe through, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like installed. Here's the intercooler pipe installed, and I use slip fit exhaust tubing for this, 3-inch, all mandrel bent. And so for the passenger side intercooler pipe, we've got a 90-degree, 245, and then another 90, all put together. And on the outside one there, you can see it. There's this lifted truck, there's tons of clearance for tire, and I'm going to build probably a little rubber hanger to help support the weight of that, so it's not putting so much tension on those intercooler boots. And then what I'll do to prevent anything from getting through our hole is we'll put a removable plate in here that fits much tighter around this intercooler pipe to block all that. You have to make this hole big enough, that large, so that you can actually snake the intercooler pipe in. So you can see it comes out, goes through, and then over to the driver's side, where the driver's side is actually comprised of only two components, a 180-degree U-bend, which is the piece you see right there, and then a 90-degree mandrel bent piece that kind of snakes underneath that battery. And then I was able to actually retain one of the original Dodge intercooler pipes, and that's this piece. And it will have another boot that lines up right down there at the bottom. And I do it this way for two reasons. This pipe here, if I made it all one piece, it'd be too long and I would never be able to get it out through the core support. And then the other reason I do it like this is so that if you ever have to service anything, the power steering pump or the injector unit or anything like that, you can take this intermediate pipe out and you have a lot more room to work in there, because unfortunately you can't get this intercooler pipe out of the rig or this intercooler pipe out of the rig without removing the grill. It is below the grill, so you may, I might be wrong about that, but you may be able to take those pipes out without taking the grill off, but you definitely won't be able to take them out without removing the front bumper. So those are going to be kind of integral parts of the build. On this side, serviceability is not a problem, because there's plenty of room around that pipe to service the shock. You can get the turbo out. So this one doesn't really matter. So it can kind of stay there and then live there permanently. So a quick pro tip, if you guys are going to build intercooler pipes like this, my advice is to use duct tape to secure your joints when you're kind of mocking everything up. And then once you have everything completely mocked up and everything cut to the right length, make sure you roll your beads for the intercooler boots first. Let's see, I'll show you this one. This will be easier to get off. Roll those beads on the pipe before you weld them all together. And then as for welding, I just do, as you can tell, I just do a MIG weld on those slip joints, and then I just hit it with a grinder to kind of knock the high spots off. And then once the stuff is painted and or undercoated or coated, however you want to do it, none of these welds really stand out. They kind of disappear, and then you've got really robust intercooler pipes that can take some abuse. Don't have to worry about them denting or getting holes from accidentally rubbing on stuff and things like that. So on to the next project. Here's a glamour shot of the finished intercooler as well as the paint all wrapped up on the front core support. And no project would be complete without a big LED light bar as well as a custom swing out tire carrier. Nope, you cannot buy these tire carriers. They're all custom built here in-house. Finally, we wrapped up the engine install with the custom fan shroud, which turned out awesome. The goal for all of my diesel conversion projects is to make the installations appear to be as stock and as clean as possible. And unfortunately on this, the GMT 400 platform, there's a lot of wiring. There's not a lot of engine room space to get everything in that we need. But on the Shrapnel build, we were able to, I think, able to nail it. So let's just start out here with the high mount kit. You can see got the factory AC lines bolted up to the sand and compressor. It's got the dual returns for the rear AC. This line, obviously, when you install it, needs to be tweaked. All these lines need to be kind of bent and kind of formed a little bit, but as you can tell, it fits in there nicely. And for that to work with the factory lines, you need to run the 95 early receiver dryer. So that pretty much covers up the AC. Over here on the left-hand side of the engine compartment, obviously we've got battery, and right here we've got the voltage regulator kit. So the voltage regulator and the voltage regulator relay, which ties the bed directly back to the battery. This right here is the pack brake air compressor for the exhaust brake, and I'll show you guys how we mounted up the exhaust brake down below. And the two relays for the exhaust brake are mounted right over there. Hopefully you can see it. There's the air cleaner, and then there's the two relays. The LEF relays are for the pack brake, and then right above it, right there, you can see the grid heat delay relay that we sell through the website, and the grid heat relays right there. So when we do these swaps, there's always extra wiring, and so like this pigtail is the battery charge indicator in the cab, and then also you can see down there there's that orange wire that is also an extra circuit that is the ECM-B circuit. So in my previous videos, you guys saw how we dissected the engine wiring harness out of the 6.5, removed all the old circuits. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. If you're thinking about doing one of these projects, there's lots of good information. I kind of show you guys how to do that. So then continuing on, there's our conversion-friendly manifold that mounts that turbo low and towards the back of the engine, which makes installing all this air conditioning as well as the high flow air intake kit pretty easily. The website, we sell the basic components of this high flow air intake kit, and then I just CNC plasma out a little brace to put on top to support it. So that pretty much takes care of everything on the passenger side. Well, one more thing. The intercooler piping snakes out through the fender well, wraps around the shock, and then goes up through the core support. We installed a kind of a block-off plate, seal that up so that we're not throwing mud and debris and stuff up into your fender well. Mounted a custom intercooler on the front. And then obviously this is the work truck style grill, the work truck GMC style grill. This is actually a Chevrolet, so we couldn't run the GMC logo in the front, so I built a custom Shrapnel logo for the front of it, and then stuck it right where the GMC would go. So that turned out really nice. One thing I will say is these halogen lights are absolutely dim. That's definitely going to need to be upgraded. So custom radiator hose, you can see the crossover tube. I bend those out of exhaust tubing, and then just use generic 90-degree hoses for that. Built a half shroud for the fan. I didn't go all the way down, so you can see how it stops short. And then obviously stenciled on the caution for that. So things are clean, wired the grid heat in there. You can see routed those wires around and back over to those grid heat solenoids. So again, try to make this stuff as absolutely clean as possible. Repurposed one of the Dodge heater lines so that we could get the heater feed. This is the actual hot water feed for the heater core. It goes around. Kind of intermixed quite a few gasoline and diesel components down here. This Suburban started out as a diesel. That big T block or Y block or whatever, I call this section over here because I have all the air lines and I have all the heater hoses. I've got all the AC lines. This is the spaghetti factory because there's just hoses and lines and cables and wires going everywhere on this side. But that piece right there, salvaged out of a 95 Suburban. So I tried to poach as many of the components out of all the different years to create a package that looks and functions like it was designed from the factory that way. So coming over here, obviously we sent the pump out, had it completely gone through, upgraded it a little bit so that it makes more power. I estimate this thing to have approximately 250-ish, maybe a little more horsepower, which puts us 500 plus foot-pounds of torque. We didn't want to overbuild this. We were going for reliability. So on this side, we'd have a ton of stuff going on here. So that Bosch relay up there is the pull-in relay for the kill solenoid, which we have right there. And early on in this build, I had all kinds of trouble with a defective or intermittent kill solenoid problem. Ended up replacing that solenoid, and then it's worked pretty good ever since. This is a Suburban that has got a 5-speed manual transmission. We're on the NB4500, so we mounted the factory truck pedal assembly in there, and I'm going to be manufacturing and reproducing those pedal assemblies so that if you guys want to do a conversion like this from automatic to manual, you can. This extra wire right here is for the starter, so that you can jump the starter if you want to from outside here. Retain the factory fuse block. Aftermarket cruise control. This is a Rostra unit. I've had extremely good luck using the Rostra units. They work really, really well. And then we just ran it down. You can see we made a custom little throttle bracket to mount the throttle cable, as well as the Rostra cruise controller. You can see how we connected that stuff up. So that pretty much takes care of everything over on this side. Sectioned the intercooler piping right there, and then snaked it down and around. The factory diesel, down where that intercooler pipe is where they mounted the washer reservoir. So we, again, poaching from gas and different years, we mounted the washer reservoir up here like they do on the gas models. So front bumper was installed prior to it coming to the shop, so I can't take credit for that. But what I can take credit for is we got the winch mounted up, and then also installed the quick coupler for the air system on it. So moving around to the back. Again, this move bumper was already installed when we got the rig, but we built and installed the swing out with the cam over latch and then the safety pin. So added the ladder, and then also added in the big LED curved light bar. So might as well go ahead and go into the interior. You can see it's already gotten dirty from our driveway here. So interior wise, again, try to keep this stuff as clean as we can. We sourced the factory truck style boot and handle so that it looks like it was completely designed, meant to be there. And then that switch is for the exhaust brake. Already had the Kenwood stereo with the backup camera. There you can see we removed the arm for the automatic transmission, because it messed me up quite a bit when I first got this going, because I hadn't removed that shift arm, and I was so used to hopping in these vehicles and shifting them out of park. And then I was like, holy cow, well, wait, I don't have that. It's not doing anything. So finally decided I just had to remove it so it wouldn't mess me up every single time I got in the vehicle. So coming around to the driver's side, again, this being a stick shift car, NB4500, we went with the two matched gauges, the boost and the EGT. This also being a diesel, we just directly hooked up the RPM, the tach signal to the alternator. So it reads a little low, but it's close enough for what we need it to do. This had full automatic 4-wheel drive. So we opted to, again, try to make as simple and reliable and robust as we can. So we swapped in the early style manual shift NP241 transfer case, and then we removed the 4-wheel drive switch panel. Also wired, again, poaching it from trucks, I wired the upper LED light to a factory cargo lamp switch. He's gonna add some fog lights, and I have a really rare factory fog light switch that was only used in my understanding, was only used in some of the police applications. So this switch right there, only used in the police applications, but it's pretty cool because it is a legit GMT 400 fog light switch. So I'm gonna surprise the owner and give him some of my new old stock parts and pieces for his build, because he definitely is gonna want to add in some fog lights. Again, wired in the cruise control, the roster cruise control to the factory switch, so that's all exactly the way that it was. One thing to note, again, about wiring is I left the diesel ECM in behind the glove box, and it is actually still active. Like it's controlling the grid heat or the wait to start light. It's kind of on a timer, about eight seconds, so that turns on every single time you turn the key on. Let's see if we can. There, it turns off. That buzzing sound you hear is the air compressor for the exhaust brake. So again, we wanted to try and have all of the instrument cluster lights and all that stuff work. We did remove the check engine light, but all of the ABS sensors, all of that stuff is still functional. Ended up having to move the center console back because it was interfering with our shift lever. So now, what we'll do is we'll go up in the air. We'll go over some of the installation details on the mechanicals underneath. All right, so underneath, you can see I'm gonna leave off the splash pan. For the engine, we clearly went with a fluid dampener, so I'm gonna leave that splash pan off because the move bumper, as well as the rough country lift stuff, that kind of covers things up pretty well. So in here you can see nice and clean, have good access to power steering hoses, bottom of the belt, all that. The front axle actuator, you can see we installed a delete kit for that, so that it will spin the driveline all the time. But the nice thing is that when you shift your transfer case into 4-wheel drive, you absolutely 100% know that it is in 4-wheel drive. These trucks have a tendency to have that front axle actuator malfunction. Again, there's our exhaust brake. So we went 3-inch downpipe off of the back of the turbo, you can see there. And then immediately started to upsize to 4-inch. And then after the exhaust brake, it's 4-inch all the way back. Got the kit from Diamond Eye for that, and we made it work. There's NV4500, late model Dodge bell housing. And that's one of our hybrid NV4500s. So it has the big 1 3/8 input and the GM 32 spline output, so that we can run the factory General Motors transfer case. So transfer case and transmission cross member just got repositioned. You can see the new holes. Again, this was an automatic, so everything is different. Ended up having to go with a CV on the front driveline because this has a 6-inch lift, and a straight shaft wanted to vibrate quite a bit. So luckily I'm good with the driveline guy, and so he was able to work with me to get that problem solved. So yeah, that's basically it under here. You know, it's extremely simple. Like there's the straightforward transfer case linkage. So it does have two-wheel drive. So when you're in two-wheel drive, even though our front axle is spinning, everything is just still just moving freely. It's just kind of freewheeling. It's equivalent to if you were to lock in your front hubs on an old manual locking truck in the early fall and you left them locked in all winter long. So rear, didn't have to do anything with the fuel tank because it was already diesel. Here you can see we reused a factory hanger, snaked out the 4-inch exhaust, stainless steel, big muffler, transfer case. Over here you can see removed the fuel filter assembly as well as the fuel pump, and then tied those in to the Cummins. There's a good picture of the driver's side engine mount. We've got videos that show how we installed all of that stuff. Passenger side, everything is really, really tight on the passenger side, but there's another good shot of how the mount is installed. So again, tried to make everything as clean and as nice an install as we could. And I think we nailed it. This truck looks and performs really, really well. So, okay, time for a test drive. All right, here we are for the test drive, pull out of the shop. I really enjoyed building this truck because the customer Joe, he just basically gave me kind of free reign to do what I wanted to do. And so I told him, I said, I want to build an Indy 4500 in a mildly tuned up Cummins, and he said that sounds good to me. So again, that's what we delivered. I love driving this because of the manual transmission. I know a lot of people, they either love the manual or they hate it, but I absolutely love it. And I also really love the exhaust brake, which I'll...
Okay.
All right, it's time to head to the airport. So I'm gonna stop talking and just let you guys listen to the diesel. Make sure you put in your comments any questions you have about this build, and thanks for watching.
So, what do you think?
I'm super happy.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's exactly what I hoped for.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I still got to drive it 2,700 miles home, so we'll see what happens by the time I get home. Hopefully, I'm not calling anybody, but no, I'm completely confident we'll make it home. It's exactly what I was hoping for.
So you got in and you heard that sound, and what'd you think?
Oh, we heard him coming up from the airport. We heard him before we saw him. No, it's amazing. And he did a ton of extra stuff that I wasn't anticipating, like all the little details, you know. So
Yeah, you like the shrapnel in the front?
yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
Kids are gonna be excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so you think it's a keeper?
Oh yeah,
You turned on the light bar yet?
I did. That thing's bright. Yeah, it's cool.
It's really bright. Sounds good. Well, was the experience what you expected it to be?
Oh yeah, he actually got done faster than I anticipated. Believe it or not. I think you just give Joel the discretion to do what he wants to do. You just trust him, and he's going to do it right. So yeah, we're happy. I'm happy. So
Awesome.